Ladies and gentlemen, Shadiversity is a guy on the internet. Shadiversity needs no introduction, but we'll give him one. He is the AI king, the bad take hombre, senor, slaughterhouse himself. I don't know why I said that. I don't know. That even makes sense. He's the guy that makes the Supergirls and puts his wife's face on him. Shadiversity. Based Shad. Shadiversity is no stranger to this channel. I've been covering for fucking ever. And recently, it appears that he may have called out another Mormon and a person that he has worked with before. I don't know the whole story about it. I'm interested to see. But Shadiversity has made comment on Brandon Sanderson. I don't think his takes, no matter what they are, could be as controversial as mine, and that is Mistborn is not that good. Pretty mid, actually, overall. Pretty fucking mid. Watch, this gets fucking like adult content gated. But in any case, the Brandon Sanderson and his work is just geez, let me start over. Brandon Sanderson is a Mormon, okay? And he's also a very prolific fantasy author. He wrote The Way of Kings. Is that The Way of Kings is just the first book in the fucking Stormlight Archive. Stormlight Archive, the Mistborn series, which I can't remember if it was just Mistborn or not. And then like another one that I haven't read. I've read all of the Stormlight Archive up to the one that just got released. I read the first two, Mistborn, and then one of the supplementary Stormlight Archive books. Generally, Brandon Sanderson's okay. Some of the Stormlight Archive stuff is fantastic. Some of it is pretty dull. Not the best character writer, and that's what people like most about him is his characters and his hard science, which are the things that I have like a lot of times some of the biggest issues with, but it's very readable stuff. Very A-OK, airplane novel grade pulp fiction, really. I mean, it's not necessarily pulp fiction, but it's pulp fiction by the old definition of it. Not very different from mid-career Stephen King. Less bangers overall. You know, I don't think Sanderson's really capable of writing something like The Green Mile. Maybe I'm fucking wrong, but I just don't think it's in him. But you know, when it comes to stuff like Cujo, you know, it's like pretty notable. Like, okay, that's all right. Yeah, Christine, kind of like, okay, cool, very good. You know, obviously he's not starting early enough in the American establishment of the American modern canon that he can be as iconic as Stephen King can be. But he's really good. He's really good. He can finish a whole fucking novel. It's not miserable, which a lot of modern authors right now are just fucking horrible at writing. And it is what it is. It's like psychotically bad, you know, here and there. I would say he's A-OK, you know. One of his biggest issues, though, is that he worked with fucking Shadiversity, another Mormon. Sando's an American. He's not Australian. But he consulted with Shadiversity, probably as a bit of a PR scheme. Hey, I'm going to sell my books to a bunch of people. Get this YouTuber to fucking talk to me about swords and shit. And I don't know, maybe just help out another Mormon. That's fine with me. I don't give a fuck. But I think it is what led to the, kind of a hard stop. What in the fuck is going on in this story? We have the first, I think it's the first. No, it's the second. It's got to be. Maybe it is the first. I can't remember. But one of the, I think it's one of the first Stormlight Archive books. It's like whatever's happening, and then they're like, "Yeah, you got your plate armor, your light, whatever. What do they call that shit? I can't remember. Fucking light plate or whatever the hell. They got magic armor that glows. Your magic glowing armor. If you're not the person who the armor first developed around for spoiler reasons, then it's just like armor that you have to put on and take off. You can't just go like, and then it appears on you like it can for all of the people who are dead now. The sets go for hundreds of years. Doesn't matter. it's hard to put on like modern armor or real world armor, not modern armor, but real world armor from the medieval era. And so they have just a random aside where the guy's like, yeah, you're beautiful, resplendent, fucking plate. It's cool. Yeah, well, it can be irritating sometimes because I have to shit in it. It takes so long to take on and off that I gotta take a shit in it. I gotta piss and shit myself in my armor. You're like, what? I mean, they say it. Sanderson does his best to like alleviate the intensity of the revelation where you're like, wait what? But it's a big draw. It's this big thing. Like, there's that guy. It's like, I'm a slave and I gotta fucking do these like bridge crossing. I'm on a bridge team and these monster creatures are crossing. Oh, they're gonna kill me. And I'm discovering powers and people are dying every day and we're living through, oh, guys, hell on earth. But I'm and the other guy's like, oh, I'm the son of the guy. I'm sort of like kind of a prince, but not really. I'm like a duke's child type deal. And I got a lot of responsibility and I'm growing up on it. I know all these cool stuff and knighthood and intrigue and blah. And then we have just the most random aside where he's just like, yes, you know, the armor is pretty hard to take on. And I shit and piss myself in his fucking armor all the time. What the fuck? It's like, it's not that much. It's not like, dude, it's a long fucking story, like a 48-hour long fucking audiobook. I listen to these things at the gym. Trust me. I was fucking like listening like crazy. And just that one fucking thing, like, what in the fuck? It's just so jarring. Nobody has talked in my mind that I can remember that. No one has talked about like any biological functions. It's like high fantasy. You know what I mean? Like really, really high fantasy with just so like little tip of the hat to some low fantasy elements like dying or being enslaved in a bad way type deal. And then like out of nowhere, just talking about fucking like, yeah, I gotta piss and shit myself in my fucking armor. It's like fucking, I don't know, like Samwise Gamgee and stuff. He's just like, oh, no, man, yeah, I gotta fucking clip my big ass hobbit toenails. I got like crazy hobbit foot fungus from these giant toenails. Like, what in the fuck? What? Why did you include that, Tolkien? And now, like, I don't know, Tolkien didn't. He didn't have a fucking Shadiversity at the right. I blame Shadiversity for that. I do. Ooh. It is cool that I think maybe also Shadiversity was like, yeah, your guy should have a fucking spear because spears are better than swords because they're long and he should prefer a spear. If he also said that to Sando, I have to give it to him because that's based as fuck. Yeah, spears are infinitely better infantry weapons. And any sort of polearm is a better infantry weapon than just a fucking sword, no matter how big the sword is, until it gets as big as a polearm. Really. But it's cool. It is what it is, but it just still stands out to me. He has a video from 4 years ago where he's like, I consulted on the Stormlight archives, based me. I guess this is before he was cringe too, because then people were like, God damn it. Fucking Sando's a little cringe now too. I hope you didn't wear off on him, you son of a bitch. We love Sando. We love him. Apparently this controversy that's coming up is there's some sort of trans character in the new Stormlight archive. I might skip giant sections of this video. It's not going to be to cast Shad in any worse of a light than I've already cast him before. I've called the guy fucking very, very weird about... I've said a lot of things about Shadiversity. It's because I want to read the fucking book and I don't want to get spoiled. So, if I get anywhere near a spoilery type vibe, aside from what's jejune to the moment, I'm going to skip or move ahead. Maybe there's going to be a spoiler warning. I don't know. If you want to be completely spoiler-free for the new Stormlight archive book, don't fucking listen to this video, idiot. And if you skipped ahead in the video and got spoiled and now you're coming back to this, you're like, why didn't you say it earlier? Then don't fucking spoil yourself on the video because now you've spoiled yourself on a book too. So you got double fucked, idiot. Fuck. But here he is, the man himself. Take it away. Shadiversity. You know what? I've noticed that as the years progressed, I'm sorry, he's not going to take it away just yet. I've noticed that as the years progressed, I think he's been having a hard time because his hair used to be up here. Remember when fucking Shadiversity's hair used to be like this high and maybe a little bit further forward than this? Now it's just a little bit lower. They took the soul out of his fucking hair. By they, I mean me. Sorry.
Archives 5 is out, and it has far more... Brandon Sanderson Stormlight Archives 5 is out, and it has far more LGBT plus representation than his previous works, which has led to accusations of him having gone completely woke, and even people going so far to say he has abandoned or betrayed his faith as a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Now, as myself, a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and someone who has spoken to Brandon about this stuff, and also followed his career for, I think more than 15 years, listening to his positions very closely, because I've always felt he's a gentleman worthwhile listening to. I think I can share a bit of nuance on this discussion and clear up a couple of things. So the first thing to discuss, has Brandon gone woke? This is more complex than people might think, because even though I feel woke is a useful term in identifying things that are regressive, founded on intersectional ideology, and overall, I think, very destructive, the amount that people are woke or not, unlike gender, which is a binary, one or the other, people's ideological leanings exist more on a spectrum. And so
my wife went to get groceries while I'm streaming. The light that was just on my face, like I'm about to get abducted by aliens, is because my dog has sensed her coming home and has moved my curtain away from the window door, and it's completely open. He's got his head like this. It's hanging down the side of his face. So that's where that light came from. Don't worry. The aliens are not about to get me.
To classify someone as woke usually would give someone the impression that they are a full-blown activist pushing for all the woke agenda. And if that is their sense of woke, no, Brandon isn't a woke activist. He is far more progressive and left-leaning than the general tenor of church membership, myself included. He has said that, by the way, in public statements. But if Brandon Sanderson is woke, and if the state of...
It was just...
He has said that, by the way, in public statements.
I can feel the disappointment in this man. God damn. This is why being a reactionary sucks. By the way, we were just talking about that with the cardiversity. With the card posting thing. This is why being a fucking reactionary is just awful. And it's because you get fucking you get sidewalled like this all the time, right? When your thing is I'm an anti-woke activist, right? You cannot have, because you're a hardliner and you have a specific thing, these are inborn moral issues, right? And I react to the woke because the woke is always bad. You get stuck as you pivot around that center point. Eventually you do get stuck in a moment where you have to go, fuck, I've made a hardline statement about something like this, and now I'm going to have to massage it because I'm coming off hypocritical because I can't, for other reasons, make this hardline, specific, high-level, intensive moral statement. I gotta, fuck. So woke is bad. I can't call him woke because woke is bad, but he's just a little more progressive than normal. You gotta be a white, richer than Shadiversity Mormon male to get that level of charity, bro. Interested in his specific hobby, former collaborator, white Mormon male. You can get that's a nice chunk of charitability. Because I'm just going to say, whatever is going to be described here, assume that a black woman directed this picture or wrote this book. I wonder what his reaction would be. Would it be the same level of charitability as to whatever the fuck's going to happen?
But if Brandon Sanderson is woke, and if the state of the world is that people are going to be...
An Australian Mormon trying to pull the Mormon card on any Mormon living in America is bonkers. I think fucking Sando lives or was raised in Salt Lake City too. Or worse, he's from fucking Provo, the true home of Mormons. Provo. You don't know about the Provo grind? Y'all don't know about soaking? Oh, bro, if you've never known a Mormon, like, as a friend, you've never heard the dark details. Like, what is that? Like, oh, yeah, I had a friend of mine, he moved my arm for me. It wasn't gay. What? What does that mean? It's an elbow shake. You know, I don't know about it's a push an elbow. Somebody pushes on your back. It's not, you're not doing it. Someone else just came in here and started pushing on me. Mormons is crazy, bro. Oh my God.
Some measure of woke because that's just the differences in people's viewpoints.
Wait, is Sanderson actually a Mormon? Yes. Mormon. Practicing still. Hard to call out though, because also multimillionaire in a church that thrives off donations and highly placed, prominent, successful white individuals. Hey, and that's not me extra dogging on Mormonism over Christianity. Y'all just Mormons didn't let black people in the churches like the late 1970s, like at all. And if you look at the high level members of the church, unless something's changed, they are all what you would expect. Fucking blue eyes, fucking white blonde fucking hair. He would have to tell Mormons in America, this swarthy foreigner, literally though, why? Mormons are on fucking high level racism. When you get to like the dedicated ones, it's not like every Mormon you come across is gonna be like a racist, but like Mormons got that fucking, you know, like the American type of racism where you're like, that feels real American. Like Mormons are like perfected at it. Like they just try to do it. Like, oh no, we did it. Like what? Like yeah, we did eugenics a little bit. Like we fucked with some eugenics. Like how'd you do that? Like I'm not gonna say inbreeding, but inbreeding. At the fucking highest levels of the church. Mormons, Salt Lake City, Utah. You're like, how the fuck did you all manage to have this many people with blue eyes and blonde hair? And they're like, we can't tell that secret to outsiders. It's like, what do you think happens when like a third of the church practices marrying a third of the women? How do you math that for me? What do you think happens? What do you think happens when you have like a third of the church marrying like a third of the women and procreating with them ad nauseum? Like fucking goddamn fucking dude, Mormons will jack themselves up fucking neck, arm, and feet with fucking fertility drugs, pop them children out. This is not bigotry at all. I'm literally describing Mormons. If you don't know, you don't know. Ex-Mormons are always just like, bro, what the fuck? I didn't know a cult could be this wide as a whole state. You deprogram Mormons in like fucking like 3 states away. They're like, what in the fuck do you mean cheese tastes like this? What do you mean cheese doesn't taste like that? You have a Mormon, dude, Mormons getting tempted with coffee and shit like, fuck. The fuck is this? We broke a Mormon in my unit. These where I learned a bunch of shit. He was a Hanson too, a literal Hanson. Which is only funny if you grew up in the 90s. And fucking like, dude, by the time he was done, he was like smoking cigarettes. He like his Vietnam wasn't even Iraq. It was weekends in an infantry unit where he had access to like alcohol and cigs and shit, and like going out and trying to like go to strip clubs and stuff. And he used to be like, I don't fucking drink coffee. By the time we were done, he like drinking Jack Daniels past a fucking stream of cigarette smoke, dipping, running them fucking horseshoes. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I can't even do it the way I used to. God damn. Mormons is crazy, dude. Mormons is fucking bonkers. But yeah, this is a swarthy foreign Mormon with this dark complected foreign Mormon. He didn't go to Salt Lake City until he tells it with that fucking accent. He's gonna find out. I'm like, I'm a part of the church too. And they go, oh.
He would be the type of woke we would hope every type of woke person or woke leaning person to be.
The McPoyle bloodline, the McPoyle bloodline has been pure for 1,000 years.
Okay, Brandon does not support cancel culture in any measure. In fact, I was a consultant on Stormlight Archives 4, and people complained about it on Reddit trying to get me cancelled from ever working or associating Brandon in the future, and Brandon defended me and didn't cancel me. He is nowhere near an unhinged activist in that sense.
Okay, well, I guess Shad did not write the poopy pants part. My bad. Damn it. I thought I had him. He did not write the poopy pants shitting in the armor scene. Who told you that, Sanderson? Or did you just put that in for? Were you just randomly reading? Oh, it would be even fucking funnier if Shad wrote him up like, so I saw you wrote that he shit his pants. This was not necessary. If you ever want to come to Australia, I'll tell you what they would do instead.
And he has always pushed for the standard of being open and having open discussion and listening to people who he disagrees with and having a position of tolerance and acceptance.
And a Hansen, no less, like an Mbop Hansen. No, he wasn't in the Hansen's like Smith. It's just a super common last name out there.
Which used to be the mantras for the woke crowd, where it's all about tolerance and acceptance, except if you disagree with us, then you are a bigot and
I do light genealogy for a living in the Mormon Church as one of the best, if not the best, international database. Yeah, it's interesting.
Should be shunned completely, where that's not Brandon at all. He has many friends and associates happily with people who are very right-leaning and conservative. And just on those two things alone, that is willing to keep dialogue and associations open with people on the right, and that he doesn't go on the whole cancel mob. Those two things are usually being associated so much with the woke movement that people sometimes even define wokeism by those practices, which is actually a complete misunderstanding of what I think the fundamental things of wokeism is. And that misunderstanding has led to this, I think, silly notion of the concept of the woke right, where people identify the woke right as people on the right who adopt certain practices that are similar to those people on the woke left. And those practices being cancel culture and intolerance, stopping association with people who disagree with you, acting like the classic SJW in the old.
So this is kind of like crazy. You know what I'm telling you? Like there's like a crazy rightward shift. He's Australian, but Shad desperately wants to be politically American, like crazy. I've heard Australians talk about politics. I've listened to Friendly Geordies. It's gibberish. It's fun. Gladys Berejiklian, the koala killer. In the New South Wales Liberal government. You know, you start talking about all that shit, right? I've heard the people that respond to him who are like Australian conservatives sound no familiarity. None. Shad sounds like he lives in fucking Tennessee. Like, if you were to tell me that he secretly snuck to fucking Nashville after all these years and just fucking like sneaking around fucking Tennessee, I would not be surprised the way that he fucking talks. Ridiculous. But these guys are noticing something and they're adapting to it way faster than the left is. They are actively already pointing out social reactionaries and calling it out and actually doing a pretty substantial job of isolating them as being harmful to the overall political efficacy of the movement. They found their cancel culture has started up several times before. This time is particularly bad. Why? Because they permitted Kaya Rychik to get too big for her britches, right? And Kaya Rychik of Libs of TikTok, right? It's not because of her politics at all. They agree with her politics in a general sense. They don't care about that. They don't care about her background either, generally. Some of them do, if you know what I mean, and I think you do. But what the real issue with Kaya Rychik is, and the Libs of TikTok account, was that it promoted a way of existing and interacting with politics that runs counter to what their stated goals are, which is a populist movement, right? Because her account, and it's not solely her, I'll get to that in a second, her account started doing stuff that is a leftist issue, which made them as reactionaries look bad. That's what it is. She started doxing people that were average fucks, which you should never, ever do. There's no reason to invade the privacy of somebody that's just having an opinion online, independent of nothing. Like a one-off fucko, some chatting cocksucker who gives a fuck, with a massive platform as well. She was using her insanely big platform to personally attack people like at a fucking Home Depot, which also runs afoul of the law because she was pointing out where people worked, where you could get to them, their faces, their pictures, the whole fucking shebang. Leftists had been doing that against Nazis and stuff and saying, well, it's Nazis or someone that I feel is a Nazi, so it's okay, right? No. That's not okay. That's not okay. And the fucking right said it wasn't okay. Okay, but they are now, some of them are sticking to their guns, and a lot of them are the closer to the center core of the party, and they're isolating accounts like that off of the main body, right? Now, it's not necessarily Higher Chick's going to go away. She did stop that in general, I think, for the most part. But a lot of those right woke TikTok accounts or social media accounts, usually who are like anonymous vibes-based accounts, or some guy or girl that's like a fucking site, like just pearly things and stuff, they're being identified, isolated, and reacted to in an extremely fast way. I haven't really covered it because it's not, I don't know, jejune, but like even Shadiversity's on top of it. They're doing what no one did on our side. On our side, you know, like Roke Scolds ran shit for like 7 or 8 fucking years, and no one had the balls to step out and just say, shut the fuck up. Hey, shut the fuck up. No one cares. Everyone was too afraid to do it. On their side, they just instantaneously like, pop, 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 pop. It's like an autonomic system of some like organism. It's actually fucking interesting. But they're just like perfect reactionaries. They really are. And I think really what it is just the insane power of how reactionary they are. They just immediately fucking subdivide, bloop, bloop, and they'll just peel off something that doesn't fucking agree, and just nah, and fucking they are all just doing the body snatcher scream at each other super fast. But it's very impressive. Mostly because they've managed to keep it somehow coalesced into a pretty agreeable to the same ends issue. That's why I think I was saying that there's some schisms coming and there's some issues happening, but the schisms coming doesn't necessarily mean like it's going to be the death of conservatism or the end of those things. Those schisms happen, and then what happens if you're a fucking conservative is you rarely leave the right. You just start to obey. You just fall in line. You stop complaining, and then you just become a good fucking member of society because you're a conservative. You're not a rebel. You're a conservative. So if you rebel and they all point you out, you just go, oh, okay. And then you're good. As opposed to our side, where we're going to fight it out the entire time. It's really interesting. So they're noticing this same thing about themselves and reacting to it like quick. I mean, in like a month. Like if you guys weren't even like paying attention to it from a distance, it was like fucking like woke right stuff. It started just before the H-1B Elon Musk things. There was like rumblings of it, and then it went whop and popped off. It was crazy. Very interesting. Bro said jejune. Somebody else must have said that fucking word in the last 3 days, because I have no idea why I used it like 3 times already this fucking stream.
Old terms, because what is woke, like when you really try and understand it, isn't defined by
means.
the way.
Oh, whoops. Let's see. Jejune. Naive, simplistic, superficial, of ideas or writings, dry, and uninteresting. What the fuck? Germain. Not jejune. Germain is what I meant to say. Thank you. Germain. Yes, relevant to subject matter under consideration. I'm sorry. Not jejune. Germain. Brain hiccup. Naive, simplistic, and superficial. Dry and uninteresting. Whoops.
People necessarily act to people who politically disagree with them in some.
Where's Shad's minions? Do you consume Negatyler? Negatyler quit, and the cool based face guy, I can't remember what his name is, he quit too, but like a little bit before. And then Tyrant? Tyrion? I can't remember the fucking other guy. His name starts with a T, I think. He's still sort of around, but also doing his own thing.
Some instances, some it is, right? But it's more defined. It is absolutely more defined by the underlining philosophy, you know, the concepts of intersectionality and representation, diversity, before anything else. That's the primary thing.
Sure, and I was like, why the fuck do I keep saying Jejune today? Germain.
And the natural practices that evolve out of those, you know, beliefs and philosophies, like affirmative action, reparations, and actual, you know, bigoted racist practices against people who they perceived as being their oppressors, all right? Which leads to real racism and bigotry against the most worst person in the world, according to the woke ideology, which is straight white men. And with that understanding, the woke right is a thing.
I turned that back on for 2 seconds. We got right back into it. Tyranth. Yeah, Tyranth. I cannot, that's a hard name to remember.
That is a contradictive statement upon itself. It's impossible for people who fundamentally disalign and reject these philosophies, because those philosophies are the philosophies that define as being woke, to then be woke. It's impossible for them to be woke if they reject those philosophies, because that is what is woke. And so you cannot have the woke right if the definition of the right, as it probably is traditional conservatism, which is the rejection of the far more left-leaning philosophies of intersectionality. So conflating those with practices of cancel culture and other things like that misses the mark. Now, bringing this to Brandon, he does not adopt the practices of the woke mob, and he has not shared much about his fundamental philosophy, although he is...
I do. Somebody said, yeah, why does he care about all this? He's not American. Isn't it kind of crazy? Like, is it the same woke mob in Australia? Or is it a different one? You know, like when you think of a mob, you're afraid of like a big group of people, like pitchforks and like coming to get you. But like, if you're in fucking Australia, like, how are you at risk of that? Like, why do you care about random Americans saying stuff about you? You know, like, who cares? What? I don't even know how to contact somebody's employer in Australia to try to do some sort of horrific doxing thing, nor will I ever look it up. I just can't. I don't know. I mean, maybe there's psychos everywhere, but I don't know. Is it two different woke mobs, or is it the one? How do you value proximity when you're judging the woke mob? Is it like they're going to show up at your house? You know, what is the woke mob? What is it really, size and scope wise?
Is more progressive than a lot of traditional conservatives, and perhaps even a decent chunk, myself included, of
they live on the same internet, the American internet. Yep.
Members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. But is it being woke, including or even promoting parts of the woke ideological movement, including the LGBT representation? Well, it depends, because the practices of DEI and representation, both in hiring and prominence in media.
Bro, at this point, this passed me by completely. I did not give a fuck about Buzz Lightyear, the movie. He doesn't even look like Buzz Lightyear like I grew up with for some reason. I don't know why. I can't quite place it. I guess it's a different face overall. But now they've done so many shitty Pixar fucking AI stuff. I can't tell anymore. This entire art style is just dead to me. Every time I see it, I just start looking for extra arms. Horrible. But I don't know anyone that saw this film. I guess none of my relatives that have kids were like at the perfect age. I don't know anybody that watched this. I don't know anyone that got mad about or cared offline. Like I couldn't name a single fucking person that gave a shit about this, but they're still bringing this fucking movie up.
Only for the sake of representation itself in lieu of something like merit and what is simply the best and most appropriate choice for the story, all those practices are founded on intersectionality at their core. But remember, this is a spectrum, okay? A lot of people probably agree in small parts with certain woke either policies or ideological positions, as many people that we would define as wholly woke probably have many small like things about conservatism and conservative beliefs and practices that they align with and agree with. Although it does seem a bit less in the woke movement because they're ready to excommunicate anyone for the slightest, divergence from their dogmatic belief structure, like JK.
Oh, did it turn on white noise at the end?
Rowling rejecting the trans movement, and she agrees with everything else. She's very woke at everything else, but that makes her worse than Hitler. So with that foundation laid out, the question arises once again, is Brandon Sanderson woke? Well, certainly not in the sense of supporting cancel culture and the woke mob and disassociating people and the like, but he is more woke or more progressive than many right-leaning people, like myself included. And then in extension to that question, has he gone woke? Well, he's become more progressive as the years go on. You can see his ideological kind of leanings shift over time. So
dude, this is what it's like. This has got to be what it's like to have your fucking dad explain away your gay uncle coming out. Look, he's got some issues that he's working through. One of them's named Brian, who will be coming to Thanksgiving. He's still your uncle. You're like, what exactly are we apologizing for? Like, he's still part of the family. Like, did we say that he's not? Are we gonna kill him? Like, what the fuck?
Yes, Brandon is a little woke. He's also a little bit conservative. He's not a full-blown activist, as I've already mentioned. And I think one of the big distinctions that people who are being critical of Brandon need to understand about him is that the manifestations of certain woke ideological elements in his writing works and statements is not coming out.
I missed that. Did he say that fucking J.K. Rowling is woke? She's still. Well, here's the thing. If you're a TERF, that still ends in radical feminist. So yeah, she is woke because she's a woman that talks. Like, it's his world. You're just living in it.
Of him adhering to a gender. I honestly don't know how much he agrees with the concepts of intersectionality. He's never spoken on it to my knowledge. He might not agree with it at all. In fact, when he has explained why he has put these type of things in his book, it is not for the adherence to an ideological agenda or to subvert traditional standards and traditional family relationships. In fact, Brandon seems to go out of his way in all of his books to promote and depict marriage in a very positive light. Relationship progression.
Thank you for sharing your dog shit fucking AI art. Or is it? I don't know. Is this actually just... This looks like AI. It's not particularly good, but I can tell this is Mistborn. Man, it's so weird. What is he looking at? I don't know. This looks like boogers. What is this boogers?
And marriage between Vin and Elend in Mistborn, and particularly the relationship between Steris and...
It's just... You're like, okay, yeah, that's definitely... Does he... These two are supposed to be married, right? This is the kid that becomes king, right? And then this is, what's her name? God, dude, I finished Mistborn like fucking 7 months ago. I can't remember any of the fucking characters' names anymore. Why does he look like he's like just shit his pants after he farted on accident? Like, oh fuck, I hope no one notices. And she's like, I'm not having it. This is not a good day. This is weird.
Progression and marriage between Vin and Elend in Mistborn, and particularly the relationship
Vin and Elend. There you go.
Between Steris and Wax in the Wax and Wayne trilogy is one.
Okay, this has got some good fingers in it. It's a little. He didn't even try to fix this one up. He just like throw it in there, buddy.
One of my favorite in all of literature. It really depicts the complementary relationship between men and women, how much they rely on each other and can support and help one another in their traditional roles. It's just genuinely phenomenal. Brandon has constantly depicted and supported positive marriage and positive traditional values and is going to continue doing that. This is a fundamental morality and belief that he has. And remember, just having gay characters in a story doesn't necessarily make it woke. It depends how it's portrayed.
Dog.
Are they real characters? What is it promoting or trying to normalize? Because it would be incorrect to assume that every time a gay character appears in a story or something like that, it's automatically an attempt at woke subversion. Sometimes things, expressions might manifest that on the surface look quite similar, but the reason for it being can be vastly different, which the intention does matter, but that's not to discount the execution, okay? Even if, the intention was to achieve something very different, but the way it was played out ended up pushing in a different direction, well, the intention doesn't redeem it, but I think it is worth considering. Because for those people who are members of our church, yes, intention does matter as well as works. It's both. For either Lord...
Damn, my man pulled out the fucking Mormon Bible. Dude, is this a synod or whatever the fuck? Are we pre-excommunication for Brando Sando? They're bringing out the fucking Bible on him. The Mormon Bible.
will judge all men.
I have never even seen this shit. I've never popped it open. I've never been interested. Oh my God. I gotta fucking read me
According
some
to their
Mormon Bible.
works, according to the desire of...
It's not the same, by the way, if you're not Christian or Catholic or any sub-denomination, it's not the same. They're not. It's a different, it feels like it is, but it's not. It's like Portuguese and Spanish. You're like, fuck is a now?
of their hearts. Both plays an important role, and that's from Doctrine and Covenants 137 verse 9. So, is Brandon's intention to promote LGBT lifestyles as being superior or more celebratory to traditional lifestyles and traditional marriage? And or is that how it comes off in the book? Those things are important things to consider. And regarding intention, from everything I've heard from Brandon, it's not to promote certain lifestyles, but for him, an exercise to try and understand people better. And then an extension to enable people to be seen in his books. Now, I personally don't think
he's just going through a phase. He's experimenting. Now, he's not. This isn't who he is. He's going through a phase. He's just experimenting. I never thought I'd hear it.
I think every single person needs to be seen in every single bit of media. I don't think that's an obligation. I don't think that's something Brandon should necessarily take upon himself. It does seem though he has. And that honestly might be an interesting discussion I could have with Brandon about the purpose of trying to represent or have everyone be seen in his stories. Like, why is that necessarily a good thing? Where I think the opposite might be the case. It might actually be a bad thing if you're pushing for everyone to be seen in your stories. Does everyone and every lifestyle deserve to be shown? I think every single person will have a certain line where it reaches a point where they would say, no, the life and perspective of a murderer, and I'm not trying to make an equivalence, I'm just giving an example that there is a line where people say, no, I don't want to see that lifestyle depicted. And then, of course, there'll be some people who really want it. I mean, and look, I got to say, I always kind of find it fun and interesting when a Mormon is depicted positively in media and accurately, because there is that side where you want people to understand you. I would love people to understand members of my church more because there's so much misunderstanding. So when they're depicted positively in the way that is correct, I really like that. And so I actually think Brandon has been approaching the LGBT representation.
Fuck off, dude. So I like positive representation and I don't get a lot of it because we are discriminated against because we made up fake religion. But these gays, Jesus Christ. Someone just said you should check out. I mean, this is the Brandon Sanderson frequently asked questions. I always appreciate when "How do you feel about gay characters" is in the fucking FAQ. It's crazy. Have you noticed the lack of prominent gay characters within the epic fantasy as a genre? And do you ever include or will ever include gay or lesbian characters in your own work? That's an issue that I feel I should speak about delicately because it's one of those charged issues that can create a lot of division. But my basic feeling is that a character should not be any more or less sympathetic, more or less evil, or anything like that because of a sexual orientation or because of basic beliefs or philosophy on things like religion. So there are gay characters in my books, though so far they've been side characters. I don't make a big deal of it because I tend not to make a big deal of sexuality of side characters in general. For instance, in The Way of Kings, Drehi, a member of the Bridge 4, is gay. He's based on a good friend of mine who is gay. There's a lesbian character in The Alloy of Law. Again, I don't make a big deal of it, though it's a little more obvious. Basically, I just try to write characters and try to have different makeups of characters. I feel gay characters should be included, and I'm annoyed that sometimes there seems to be an association between including gay characters and using that as a means of making them seem like a reprehensible character. You may know what I'm talking about. I've seen it in books before, and it bugs me. Just like it bugs me if an author makes a character religious and the tone of the book implies, well, obviously religious people are all idiots, so I'm not going to make this character actively an idiot. I'm just going to represent them as being religious, which by the tone of the book indicates that they're an idiot. It's not to say that there can't be social structures like religions that'll push people toward doing things that are questionably or morally reprehensible. There can, of course, and it will happen, but I'm talking about the individuals. I don't know that I have strong feelings on the subject other than that I think people should be represented as people. I wrote a bit more about the subject in my essay on Dumbledore, which we are not going to read. I think that's pretty succinct. Yeah, I got him. I did not bury my gays. Not yet. There's a few hanging out. It's not a big deal. So it is a big deal, but you can be forgiven.
Actually from that perspective, and he's talked about this a lot. He has shared times where he's been reading a book and a character appears in the book that should be representing his perspective, like the perspective of a Christian, and they've been written as caricatures just there to be mocked and belittled as a joke because the author themselves don't like those people, and it's truly a horrible representation of who that person is supposed to represent. He's talked about this, and Brandon has said that his philosophy is to never do that. When he has a character that appears in his books, he goes out of his way to try and have that book be depicted like the people in the real world who associate or identify with that same characteristic, identity, or whatever, as they would want to be depicted. And that's an admirable thing. It's not necessarily an endorsement.
That's actually that's how I try to write people. As I say, I try not to use, for individuals, fuck them. They are what they are. But when you kind of get to like a group of people, I always say that if you have a definition for them, it should be one that they're like, okay, yeah, Yeah. All right, fine. So if they have a definition for fascist that like an actual fascist would be like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? Like on a personal level, I don't understand what you mean. Like, you're probably not defining them correctly. You don't understand who you're talking about type deal. That does not include to other communities. I know you're watching right now. Me insulting you on purpose. It's a different thing. Unconsciously letting people know that you're like, I don't give a fuck is always kind of crazy. You know what I mean? Like it kind of goes. So he's talking about bigotry here. Where that's the difference between bigotry and trying to take people as they are. And Sanderson gets it. Shad is trying to justify Sanderson getting it.
Of what they believe, and from his perspective, not a promotion, though that one is a hard line to walk, because what is promotion, okay, can sometimes be more determined by how people receive the story, and sometimes intention can go astray. The thing that you need to understand about Brandon is that he is actually one of the most accepting, tolerant, and kindest people you'll ever meet. And he applies that equally to most people that he interacts with, regardless of their ideological leanings. And the way that he responds to people attacking him is such tolerance and understanding that it almost borders on superhuman. Because there was this like hit piece article written about him, which was the most disingenuous crap you've ever read, right? And I don't think I could avoid being outraged at the bullcrap that this person who met him and talked with him and interacted with him in person.
I know. I don't even think it's probably superhuman, Shad. I think you are just you have a tendency to the toward the apoplectic.
Right? Brandon was really kind to and friendly with, then wrote all this slop about him, and he responded with such understanding and lack of outrage, which is kind of amazing. Now, that is actually a bit of a reflection of his own kind of mental, perspective, because Brandon has been outspoken that he has a bit of a neurodivergent attitude where he doesn't get hugely upset or hugely overly emotional. He is a bit more restrained in his emotional kind of expression. And this does play into his position, and also why the Stormlight Archives 5, Wind and Truth, has more representation in it. And you can clearly see why if you've listened to some of the things that is talked about in terms of his own, what he calls, neurodivergent, mental state.
As my friends hit puberty, they became more emotional. The opposite happened to me. Instead of experiencing the wild mood swings of adolescence, my emotions...
Oh, did it? Shad helped on book 4, but was not brought back to help for book 5 that just released and is causing people to call Brandon woke. Thank you from Weird Bros 0097. Sorry, I almost missed that before.
calcified. I started waking up each day feeling roughly the same as the day before, without variation. Often, it genuinely seems like I exist out...
No way. Hold up. I might be crazy. It's just, he looks... Hold on. Am I crazy? Hold on. Okay, so this is... Before I say anything... Okay, hold on. Because this isn't happening. He just looks different than his normal picture. So this is the video, actually. It's Outside by Brandon Sanderson, they just said. It doesn't have a picture in him of him at all. It's him, like, filming snow falling down. Did you run him through a filter? Or did you... Open. What the hell? Why does this look different? Why do these photos look different? Am I losing my fucking mind? Or did he just squash it on accident? It's like, did he fucking like AI art him up a little bit? I might be cracked out though. It looks like I think he just accidentally squished the photo a bit, but I was like, what the fuck is going on? I don't know. Strange.
Outside of human experience. It's not sociopathy. I'm quite empathetic. In fact, empathy is one of the ways that I can feel stronger emotions. I'm not autistic. I don't have...
This is definitely two different photos. This one might be just fixed. This one looks like normal. The one that I found looks like fixed up. This is washed out for some reason.
have a single
Might just be
hallmark
my
of that
monitor.
notable brand of neurodivergence. It's also not what they call alexithmia, which is a condition where someone doesn't feel emotions or can't describe them. I care about people. I feel. I'm not empty or apathetic. My emotions are simply muted and hover in a narrow band. When I read or write from the eyes of other people, I legitimately feel what they do. There's a magic to any kind of story, yes, but for me, it's transformative. I live those lives. For a brief time, I remember exactly what passion and agony and hatred and ecstasy feel like. My emotions mold to the story, and I cry sometimes. I legitimately cry. I haven't done that outside of a story in 3 decades.
He messed up the quality. It looks like compression to me. Yeah, I was just wondering, like, did he? You can batch touch up stuff. I was wondering if he just ran it through, like, he just doing all of his touch ups and color correction with the AI too. Like, did it make him skinnier? I think he just squashed the portrait a little bit. Unless, well, this. Hold on, that's a photo from Esquire. So, hold on. Wait a second. Is that what I'm noticing? Okay, who's it? Octavia Escamilla. Hold on. Search Octavia Escamilla. Brandon Sanderson photo. Okay, I'll open this one. Open image. Open image. Images. Did you use? Okay, okay, I found it. No, all right. I'm just crazy. I'm losing my fucking mind. He did touch it up from the original. I don't know why. It is different colors and a different crop.
So let me tell you why I
I
write.
don't know why he did that.
It isn't about world building. That's a
I
mistake.
thought he used content aware fill on it, but it looks like he just squooshed it for some reason and then
Everyone makes about me.
washed the original colors out. Like, there's something that's off about it in my eyes. You see how it's like this one's considerably more gold. It's got good fucking good contrast and stuff to it. There's just something off about this photo.
Me.
I think it's just it might just be the compression, and it was like super lightened. It's different than the original. I'll tell you that much is for sure.
I don't write for plot twists or dragons or clever turns of phrase, though I enjoy all of these. I write because stories bring people inside, and I sincerely, genuinely believe that is what the world needs. Only fantasy offers me the full range of emotion, the wonder of exploration, the magnificent highs of epic scope, and the miserable lows of cataclysmic terror. In writing it, I can learn. Monomaniacal, I hunt experiences of people who are different from myself, then explore them in prose until I feel, in some small part, what they do. This is why I write, to understand, to make people feel seen. I type away, hoping some lonely reader out there, left on a curb, will pick up one of my books, and in so doing, learn that even if there is no place for them elsewhere, I will make a place for them between these pages.
So we're going to talk a little bit more about that, because I think that'll help a lot of people being very critical of Brandon understand him a bit better. Because it does seem like this mental condition that he has does help him from getting angry and reacting very negatively, and he has responded incredibly well to people being really nasty and false with him. He is genuinely one of the nicest, most tolerant people you'll ever meet, and I mean that in the true sense of tolerance, open, and accepting, okay? And as I mentioned, if people were to be woke, this is the exact type of more progressive-leaning, woke, ideologically minded person you would want. Now, as to the greater amount of representation in Wind and Truth, I have not read the book yet. I have been very interested in hearing people's feedback of those parts in it. And from what I have been able to hear for myself, it certainly seems to be a bit more promotional in the sense of depicting it with more prominence.
But by the way, I don't think he. It's a stolen photograph. You just gotta say it. That photo. If you just want to look it up and see what I'm trying to fucking get at, because I'm fucking crazy. I had to look up that. I don't know, unless I missed where he credited them. No, that photo is from Octavia Escamilla. Originally, I believe, published in Esquire.com's Brandon Sanderson Knows He's Risking Everything with Wind and Truth, published in December 2024. So yeah, he stole that. It looks like Esquire took a few pictures of him in the same outfit and stuff. I'm not used to him without a fucking beard. I think the beard threw me off, and that's it. These are definitely way better photos. I don't know why he washed it out.
in a way of normalizing it, then I would choose to do in my own writing,
program
and certainly more so
process.
than a lot of conservative people who just are fed up with the woke stuff in media are willing to tolerate. And a lot of people have rejected the book because it has this stuff in it to such a prominent level. It might not be as much as people are saying. Like I said, I haven't read the book yet. And I really think people on the conservative right should not have this barrier where it's like, you can't have gay people at all in any type of story because, yeah, gay people are in the world. And if you're depicting something realistically, there's very high chances that
if you tape 2 books together to get an epic weapon, it's a better book. If you tape 2 pieces of if 2 books together with a chunk of steel that you find laying around, it actually will create a superior book. Okay, it's longer. It's got, you can read both of the books at once. You can use one book, or if you want, you can go and switch immediately to the other book.
a gay person might be in that story as well. And there's examples of it being handled from my conservative perspective and also very religious perspective, by the way, perfectly fine. House of the Dragon season 1 has a very prominent gay character in it that's actually essential to the story. And that element in the story enhances the overall arc of the season very considerably. It's an essential part of the story, which I felt handled it perfect. Okay, it was fine. Having said that, I do hold different standards for...
Bro hasn't read the book. It just came out. So... more than likely, he's just doing snap apologia just in case. He's trying to save Sanderson from himself, but I don't know. I guess I thought he had read the book. I would have assumed. It kind of be hard to answer, has Brandon Sanderson gone woke and betrayed his religion from that?
Or what I think is appropriate to be included in adult entertainment versus children's entertainment, because I think it's the parents' choice and right to choose when to introduce these more mature concepts of sexual orientation and gender identity and all those things to children. It's the parents' choice. And therefore...
So, yeah, he's pulling a critical drinker and talking about something he hasn't even consumed. It's okay to do sort of, kind of sometimes. It depends. You can talk about the potentiality of something, which I think he's sort of doing here. I'm not going to knock him for that. I mean, I would have rather him have talked about the specific instances or so I could get a fucking read. What he's doing now is kind of speaking more to the character of the individual and what would and wouldn't be okay as you approach it. And his general impression that Brandon Sanderson is not the kind of person who would do something like that, or if he does, would do it in order to flip you, which I think is okay. I mean, obviously you would still want to read the book for a fully holistic, understanding of it. And it would be insufficient as an act of criticism, but I think what he's really trying to do here is based on, first off, he's Shad too, so he's going to be he's going to oversell his under-research. You know what I mean? But really what he's trying to do here is say that this is a true, apologia, raw. He's just saying, well, Brandon Sanderson's a good guy, and there's not a lot that he could do to make him a bad guy. And if you think he did one of the things that you think is going to make him a bad guy, he probably didn't do it for a bad guy reason. And if you think he did it for a bad guy reason, you might be not 100% understanding what bad guy reasons are. And if you do, well, then maybe you don't understand his reasoning specifically. He's just kind of setting up Sanderson to have a series of outs. More than likely, what you're really seeing is Shadiversity is getting ready to read the book himself, and he is kind of pre-packing his own expectations so that if Sanderson does cross one of his own personal lines, he has already articulated while reading his Mormon Bible the sort of out that he's going to take. What you're really experiencing more than likely with this is him saying, don't worry, no matter what happens in this book, we have a series of explanations, all of which can be tied back to the religion and justify both your former appreciation of Brandon Sanderson, because if he does anything in this book, it's a mistake that's only in this book, and it's not going to retroactively change all of the other stuff before this into making it sinful, and then you'll have to come to terms with the fact that you've been tricked. You know what I mean? Or you're not aware of sin in a way that's kind of deleterious, and maybe you're flawed he's basically saying Brandon Sanderson's a good guy. Like he's a good guy, and he wouldn't do something like this. And yeah, he's not always in alignment with my perfect understanding of the world, but in his own imperfect understanding of the world, he's still the best example of that kind of person, even in his worst excesses. And those excesses aren't because he believes in these things, but it's just because he's trying to tell a story. So it is fiction. And even when he does tell them, it's not the main character and he's not trying to change your mind. It just happens to be how people are, which is like the real world. People are flawed. And so you don't have to worry. If you do see it, it's not what you think you see. And if you think it is what you see, you just got to double check what you think you know. It's like, it's that vibe. If you've never been around religious folk who've been challenged, or even if you have, if you guys remember like 2016 or 2015 era, like Trump apologia, it was the same stuff. It was like, well, he's a bad guy, but he's really a Christian at heart. And yeah, he says some crazy things, but he says them to push a Christian man. Like it's that same sort of thing. When you have hardline, especially if you have hardline reactionary stances, you get stuck in little positions like this and you have to do a bunch of little fucking, curly Q jurisprudence to try to fucking get yourself the fuck out of the Gordian knot that you tie around yourself.
Well, that stuff needs to be kept out of children's media completely. But when dealing with mature media...
Shad must be epically fatigued doing this much mental gymnastics. This is the only exercise he gets.
And adults get to choose where their kind of line of, tolerance is for what they, And by the way, when I say tolerance, right... There's a simple reality that I think people on the ultra woke side need to kind of accept. And it's that straight people, especially straight guys, get turned off by homosexual kissing and acts of homosexuality in front of their face because they're not attracted to it. All right. I don't see anyone on the left condemning homosexual men from probably being turned off by lesbian relationships and other things like that because they're not attracted to it. But they seem to hold this different standard for straight people. No, you need to watch it and not only accept it, they literally say now you need to celebrate it. Acceptance is enough. You have to be on board and celebrate.
Who's they? What? I have no idea what he means. First off, I don't know. Gay guys are grossed out by lesbians, but for completely like, you have to be around them to understand. It's the whole thing. They have their own interactions, but I don't think I've ever heard of a gay person saying that like, I don't want to see lesbians kissing in movies. It's just too much. Maybe they have. Actually, I could see. You know what? Shad might have a point there. Just some fucking. The big fucking blocky glasses and a scarf. There's a lot of things I can tolerate. I lived through the 90s. But two women kissing is just too much. These butch lesbians just making out like two logs slapping against each other in a windstorm. I don't want to see it. They would say it, but they would say it way more fun. It would be the haughtiest, cattiest, shittiest fucking gay guy you've ever met. You just sit there and listen to him say it a million times. You got to earn that level. There's sorts of people that'll say anything, but I don't think it's generally. I don't know how they all survive at their gay clubs. You fucking like the lesbians are kissing, and fucking the gays are like, oh god, I can't even get my dick sucked in this bathroom with these lesbians kissing outside. It's ruined it for me. The more I think of it, we just at play in fucking Louisville. You're heading back like you see like two gay guys are going back. You don't see gay guys there. Just two dudes, two fellas, two roommates, some roommates are heading back to the bathrooms. And then like there's some lesbians there to hang out at the bar or watch someone of their friends do a drag show, and they're just like they kiss in front of the women's room, and the two gay guys go, oh fuck it. And just leave. Oh, come on. They just fucking turn around on a dime and get the fuck out. Oh my god, that would be classic. I would that would be fucking funny as shit, actually. I would enjoy the hell out of that.
Promote it, and if you don't, you're intolerant.
And then as far as with non-binary and
James Somerton would do some offhand remarks like that. Too bad he fucking died.
transgender, he needs to not
favorite fucking commentary cuck response was to the Jamer Somerton thing. I think this is why they still get fucking mad at the Age Bomber guy, because they had the most insanely cucked responses. Oh my god! Every time the woke left, every time these guys complain about something, I got Keffel's complaining about the suicides from Kiwi farms, but H Bomber guy bullies James Somerton into killing himself, and no one says a fucking thing. I said something when I thought James Somerton fucking checked out. I said, good. Where's your humanity? God damn. Just say James Somerton with the blocky glasses and the scarf. No, it's not James Somerton. He's fucking. That was James Somerton cosplaying as a better gay.
Just accept it.
Oh, dude, Shad would have a stroke if he watched the Birdcage. You know what would kill him? You know exactly what scene would kill him. La cage à feu. La cage à feu. Well, why don't you just try to walk like a man? And John Wayne. I can't walk like John Wayne. Just try it. Just try it. Okay. How was that? Actually, I didn't know John Wayne walked like that. It was perfect. They would lose their fucking minds. Oh my god. They would lose their fucking minds at that. Fuck! I wish dude, we need a Kaja Fo with like I don't know. How could you make how could you make Kaja Fo more woke? God, that's probably one of the most woke movies by those definitions that exist.
But embrace it.
So that's just bonkers to me, because I thought it was about tolerance and acceptance, treating them that these are just people and treating them as people and their sexual identity.
I think that he faked it. Oh yeah. Dude, James Somerton's still fucking alive. He's alive as shit. He's just a shitty little gay guy. He's the shittiest guy. The shittiest guy. Like, maybe when you wake up tomorrow, none of you'll ever see me again. If someone doesn't stop me, you'll never see me again. Like, fucking being extra dramatic, walking out, and everyone's like, there's gonna be one person who's like not a fucking adult that's like, I think someone should go check on him. And then everyone goes, no one should. Okay? Enjoy your drink. That's what being extra is. Okay, calm, take it easy. He's not doing a fucking thing. I haven't heard from James. Should someone go by his apartment? No. No. That's exactly what the fuck happened. The best test to find out if somebody how like connected to any semblance of gay culture remotely is just show them the Somerton videos leading up to him saying he's checking out permanently and see if they believe him. They're looking at you like this. He's not even good at acting. What do you mean? You're just being a little shit, dude. Well, if you wake up tomorrow and no one hears from me again, you know where I am. At the bar. In the bathroom. At the same sorry little stall on 3rd Avenue, honey. We all know where you're going to be. We're trolling through the subway like the rest of the dogs.
And stuff like that. Like, doesn't need to bother you because that should be something that's private, and gay people shouldn't be discriminated against. And I thought that was, the thing that we were pushing for. Okay, there we have acceptance and tolerance, but now you have to promote it and celebrate it, not only I guess something equivalent to traditional heterosexual relationships, which they're not equivalent. Okay, every homosexual relationship by definition is actually sterile. They can't have children in that relationship, and so biologically there is clearly one relationship that is biologically superior, uncontestably, right? But then they're pushing for they have to.
There it is. Thank you. Sorry. Thank you.
Celebrate as something even more celebratory and praiseworthy as traditional relationships. It's like no. And if they want to celebrate that, what right do they have to condemn traditional people like me who want to celebrate traditional heterosexual relationships, marriage between a man and a woman, the unit that creates life, creates families, right? As holding that on the pedestal as the thing that we should be celebrate above all else. And it should be. That's my standard. But we get attacked for that, even though people who disagree with this ideology...
It's right there. Obviously, it's the celebrating it above all else. That's the point. Because not every couple that shits out a kid should have shit that kid out. Not every kid's worth shitting out. So it's really not actually better in every respect. You know what I mean? It's kind of dependent on the couple and the kid that's produced. It's a specific action. I think any partnership is just good if the partnership benefits the people that are in it for their own goals. That's it. That's really it. As a sort of general statement, the thing that people are getting upset with you at is that you demean them by elevating yourself over them. And also that you're being like deleteriously dishonest, psychotically dishonest by trying to suggest that there's like a preponderance of gays in the first place, like a majority of gays or a majority of fucking leftists or progressives or liberals or whatever in the fuck have you that are like, we need to celebrate gay couples above heterosexual couples, productive heterosexual couples. Like, who is saying this at length constantly to the point where they have a following that is passing laws actively on that standpoint? You know what I mean? Like, who is this? Like, I'm around these people. I don't see them. Now, I do see that they're trying to elevate non-traditional couples to the same legal status as traditional couples, mostly for the purposes of property relations. So about 99% of it is because of tax benefits and property and who can and can't visit who and who can and can't bury who. It's pretty much just, I need to be able to give somebody else the ability to have power over my affairs, and I want it to be given and taken in the same way that it is legally given and taken to traditional couples via the legal system. That's most of what it is. It's about parity. You know what I mean? Between couples in the legal system. I don't think anyone's like cares in any valuable way about like, no, we need gay couples to be seen as better. Who is that? Like, where is that happening extensively? I mean, we got a 2-second kiss in a goddamn movie nobody wants to fucking see already. I don't get it. I don't even know why I'm responding to this. I want to talk about fucking Stormlight Archive.
Promote and celebrate something, a thing that they believe to be much, much higher, right? Rules for thee and not for me, as it seems to be. And it's actually that standard.
It's rules for, that's what you guys, okay. You're fucking Australian. I don't know why I'm, I don't even know what the fucking law is in Australia, but I know he's talking in American terms. Because I think he's literally just repeating some sort of like LDS doctrine, like from America in Utah. I don't know what the fuck the situation on the ground is in Australia. I neither know nor do I particularly care. I hope good things happen to good people and bad things happen to bad ones. There you go. There's a profound statement. But like, no, there are already rules for thee. And not for me. The rules are like who can adopt their kids and it's like and who can pass down property and who can be considered a relative when it comes when it comes down to like visiting somebody in a hospital, and who has like decedent rights when somebody dies. Like, those are the biggest issues, you know. I live with a guy for 15 years and he fucking dies on me of cancer for like 5. I take care of him, and then all of a sudden, like, I can't go into the emergency room like before the end of his life, and then also I couldn't like, I don't get custody of his body to bury him in our fucking cemetery. His family can just abscond with his corpse. His family he doesn't like, and they do it just because of some pissy fucking religious reason when he's as a fucking literal human being with rights, has said he wants something to happen in a certain way, and those rights and those wishes are denied. Like literally, you're going to strip somebody of their property rights over their body, and deny their will, their last will and testament to be, carried out because you're their family. That's piss shit. Fuck no. That's so antithetical to freedom. It makes me like literally like gun crazy in my fucking mind. Absolutely not. That's what people want, is parody, legal parody.
There's a lot of conservative, traditionally minded people that want to see the primary relationship of the human species, relationships between men and women, as the primary and even the only thing promoted and celebrated, and sometimes even depicted in the media that they like to consume. And you can't take that away from them. That's their right to choose what they want to enjoy in their media or not. And there are a large number of people who, when they see any type of LGBT representation...
Oh, no. He's changed for the worst. I used to be a fan. I won't read him again.
They're just turned off by it. They're not into it. They're not getting...
Are these Goodreads? The prominent love stories between two men. I have lost all respect for this author. I will never buy another one of his books, specifically because this came out of the blue.
Hey, shock horror, okay? And there's...
Brandon, my man, how could you do me like this? Such a big fan, but man, this book is the worst of the 5. Compare this to Way of the Kings, it's a total different vibe / plays. Crazy to think his first books were basically just him writing, and they were awesome. Now with a huge team, they somehow got worse. My boy Cal went from being a hardened bridge man to a therapist. Also, every interaction seems unnecessary and some weird forced agenda. R.I.P. Stormlight Archive, been a wild ride. Wait, that's kind of crazy to say about Cal. Wasn't that what he literally was in the first book? What? It was Kaladin trying to get everybody to live. You guys remember? Do you guys remember Stormlight Archive 1? Wasn't the point of Kaladin's entire fucking... First off, okay, shut the fuck up. Spren? I know the word spren. Spren that you get? Your little emotional best friend that kind of like mirrors your internal state, and who you have to be in like... You have to be Mr. Good Vibes in order to use correctly, right? The spren, right? Spren. Hey, I'm vibing with your personality. I feel like you're whatever. You're a Knight Radiant. Knights Radiant. You remember the Knights Radiant? The whole fucking first book is everybody is sentenced to death on bridge crews. They're all gonna fucking die, even if they're not sentenced to death. They are sentenced to death. And Kaladin, who is a little suicidal baby, thinks that a wind spren is following him around. Little does he know he's one of the fucking chosen one. Mr. Literal fucking slave brand on his fucking forehead, right? Is on his forehead, not his cheek. Is going around, and then he comes out like, I want to fucking make it, because he's fucking butthurt as shit. And he has to personally interact with every single fucking guy on his bridge crew and get them to get over their own personal desire to give the fuck up and just die so that they can do bridge crew shit and live. That's the whole thing. And then like the 3, I guess I've read 4 because I know I've read them all to the most recent one. And then the follow-up books are constantly people talking about their fucking feelings all the time, because it's crucial to know what the fuck is going on, because the spren are part of your internal motivations. Literally, you make a fucking whole ass, I have to be good with myself promise to the fucking magic powers of the world to use the rest of your sword and your shield and your magic armor and fly, right? You have to give the words of power or whatever. You have to say a fucking thing. And if you say it and you're not in a good place, it doesn't count. You have to fucking mean it. And you have to know who you are in order to say the words, right? Isn't that the fucking basis of the plot? Isn't the entirety of the fucking Stormlight archives? Am I fucking crazy? But is it not about self-awareness and learning what you are and aren't good at and trying to understand who the true you is? Like this little kid shit. The Kaladin is all of the people that work for him share his power. That because he's a Knight Radiant. So there's not that many Knights Radiant, But then you can be a what part of the Radiant Company or whatever the hell, I can't remember what it's called. You can be one of his, like, literal, like, one of his vassals. You know what I mean? You're part of the crew. You're part of the team. His entire bridge crew starts getting powers via his shit, and then he has to talk to them about them fucking feeling better, and then they got to say the words and stuff, and then they get their own little spread. Am I crazy? Is that not how it fucking works? Because I swear on fucking God, half the what I complained about in the early ones is people just always talking about their shit. They were constantly talking about how they feel. The main girl is like, her entire plot is about her fucking trying to vibe with, I've got a lot of different ladies in my head. I've got a rebellious lady who likes to do gambling and violence, and I've got a nice lady who's in a dress and stuff, and then we're gonna reconcile that. Is that like the fucking prince is trying to fucking like, it's crazy, my dad died, and it's real hard to run shit, and then he just dies because that's way extra fucking character. Am I fucking crazy? I feel like every Sanderson book I've ever read is all people who are horrifically fucking traumatized, turning trauma into like their chosen one power. Am I nuts? Am I crazy? Am I fucking literally losing my mind? Or is that the crazy of all the complaints to make about any Sando book? What? I feel like half of Mistborn was like, hey man, the second one that I read, I was like, this is mid. I was like, hey dude, I don't know if I can be king. I don't know if I can be king. You should be king. You should be king. You should do king shit. I don't know. Well, why don't you try it? And why don't you get a haircut and bathe and stand up straight? It's like, personal betterment through fucking conversation with your peers and discussion of your internal issues and your conflicts, and you overcame them and got better. What the fuck? If we only had a word for that. Every fucking Sanderson book that I've read. Am I out of my mind? Okay, I'm actually gonna look. You are crazy, but you are not wrong. I'm fucking absolutely lost. Oh my God. That's 100% what Stormlight is about. Okay, I'm fucking like, what a fuck. That's not even, if you're watching right now, like, that's not even me reacting to fucking Goofity here. That's just, this review is bonkers. I think the guy's just like, picked it up and was just like, started reading it to fucking burn Brandon Sanderson. This sucks. This is fucking Shadiversity learning what it's like to interact with all of his friends online and their fucking fans. No, it's good. It's good. He's a good guy. He's a good guy. Sorry, bud. Asmongold has said, this Brandon Sanderson issue is crazy. Now, I've never read a book. I'm illiterate. I have a text-to-speech setup so that I can understand the words on the screen that are all of your comments. I cannot read. However, I have to say this new Sanderson book seems to be disappointing fans. It's gone woke. It is crazy, the situation that he made millions of dollars on his Patreon and is he's fucking it up. I can't say, I don't know what else to say about this. If I was a fan of his, I would be really disappointed by this woke stuff that I hear he's been jamming in. And then like, you're like, how did you find out about this? And it's like, I don't know. Whatever fucking cartoon pedophile of the moment fucking Asmongold is getting his news from. I mean, he's fucking Brandon Sanderson. He's crazy. I heard from a friend of a friend of a friend who watches EFAP that the new story is bad.
Any type of LGBT representation, they're just turned off by it. They're not into it. They're not gay. Shock horror, okay? And there has been a decent chunk of people who have been turned off by Wind and Truth because it has a much more further amount of representation in it.
Way too gay. Way too gay. Oh my God. I like that. Is it just dude? You know what's crazy is that we really have normalized a lot of moving away from negative male stuff. I like that Andrew Tate wouldn't even drop the butt. Andrew Tate would have came off gay as fuck in the 90s. Everyone would have called him a slur raw. Which is fucking You know, hardcore. They would have just called him a fucking slur and just ignored him completely. In the early 2000s, Andrew Tate was what you call a metrosexual. You just have no idea. You children today got no clue. Shit did not end up on TV. Understand that? Like, there wasn't TV. TV wasn't representative, really, of your average day-to-day experience until like the 2000s and shit. That was like, wow, crazy. It's like I'm seeing the people I grew up with here. All of a sudden. That's why fucking, if you ever wonder why Superbad is so popular, especially in people in my generation, because that's the first time I ever heard high school kids talk like high school kids in a movie. Like, even if you go all the way back to something like Dazed and Confused, that's really elevated. Fuck, just guys calling each other the F slur back and forth nonstop. That is really what the 90s was like. And it was rough. Yeah, guys, dude, we were talking, it's like a meme now, but guys used to fucking talk each other or not talk. They used to just silently go to death. Like, get a splinter. Like, there's so many fucking stories my dad has about like the fucking, like his dad and his grandparents era, where it was like so it's like 1952, this guy got a splinter. And, he didn't want to bother anyone about it. And it got bad. And it rotted all the bones out of his right hand. But he still had the flesh there hanging around. They called him Glovey. And, he never complained. Not a day in his life. He lived till he was 75 with a glove hand. Guys were just made different back then. Really, just no one was allowed to talk about shit is what it was. Everybody, like, everyone that's saying the Stormlight archive is too gay is living in a world that the gays created for them, and I really can't hammer that home enough. I really can't. Do you know how much shit has changed where you can say, I think anime is gay now? And, like, if you would have said that in the 90s, people were like, you watch cartoons, you fucking... You reading a book, you fucking fairy? Y'all fucking reading books and shit? When you fucking know what the words mean? What, you fucking gay, dude? You suck dicks? Fucking fairy motherfucker. Get the fuck out of here, dude. What page are you on? What page are you on? Blah, 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 blah. Fucking throw your book down the street. You're fucking sci-fi nerd saying shit's too gay. It's fucking bonkers, bro. Y'all live in a blessed era. Like fucking fairies and fucking the angel dust is pouring down upon your heart. Gay people fix this shit. You know how many fucking gay guys died in the 1980s of fucking AIDS and shit and fought through it, and they fucking never let that memory go, and they just fucking existed in public as hard as they could. You know how fucking hard they had to work so that you could fucking say reading a book the book was too gay when you read it? Bro, you're gay for reading. What kind of fucking homo reads a fucking book, you loser? What, you read a book about people that wear fucking sparkly armor and fly, you fucking mo? Why don't you go find your fucking boyfriend and tell him about your little book? It tickles me fucking pink, you fucking 20-year-old. I don't know, games are pretty gay. You play video games? Sorry, some guy that survived the Great Depression talking to you in the 90s or trying to play Super Mario? What's that? Oh, this is Super Mario Brothers. When is he going to that pipe? He's gonna go on there. He's gonna jump on turtles. Yeah. Well, they're plumbers. Plumbers? I know a plumber. His name's John. He got a job. Well, if you didn't do all this fucking shit all the time, sitting around inside your fucking house, you gotta be a plumber too. You're gonna get a fucking job here. Well, there's two of them. What are they, fucking fairies? No, they're brothers. Which one's the gay one? The tall one? I bet the tall one's gay. I don't know. And you're trying to rescue a princess? What is this game? You can be a princess? What are you, fucking gay? You want to be an elf? You want to be an elf? What are you, fucking fairy? You can be a fairy? You fucking gay? God, I love it, man. Dude, things have changed so much. It is so fucking different. Do you know everybody complaining about Tomb Raider? That was one. You're going to play a gay girl with big tits? What, you want to be a girl? You fucking, what are you, like a slur? Hey, these guys downtown, they try to be girls. They're all hookers now. What, are you fucking gay? Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time came out this year. I would say, I don't think it's a good representation for little girls to see a girl calling herself. I don't know what to do it. I don't think it's a good representation for little girls to see a girl calling herself a man and fighting villains herself. Shake. It's gay. It's gay. God. Hope you enjoyed your time on the West Side.